balanced out nicely.
Out great.
Is it everywhere? Yeah.
I'm narrowing it down. That's gonna be my legacy.
Alright, well,
Oh, I'm resuming.
who's running the meeting? Oh, it's only, we still have 2 minutes. He might
You
make
saying
it.
I'm resuming in?
No, I mean zooming in his car as well.
Oh, okay.
It's alright.
It's more like a lumber.
Zoom, okay.
It's large.
Being 6 o'clock, I will open the select board's meeting, call to order the select board meeting on Thursday, October 5th, 2023. Are there any changes and additions to the agenda?
Yes, there
There
are.
are.
We are adding to the signature file, a land use change tax for $500. Map 211, lot 52, a land use change tax for $9,500. Map 205, lot 26, and a driveway application permit, map 402, lot 28.
And can I just say, those land use change taxes are the same ones you signed at the last meeting, but I needed to print them single page for the registry to record them. So it's the same thing, you're just signing them over again.
So we just have to sign and not vote on them again?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. And are we doing a non-public at the end of the meeting
That's your call.
for Steve's request? And a
think it's
non-public
worthwhile.
under E,
I think that's right.
legal? Yeah.
Okay.
And we're taking off townhouse design.
Yeah, because our gentleman is not well.
Right, so it's townhouse fire escape design. We're gonna put that off till next week.
Here's everything.
Okay. Under new business, we get a department head report from Rick Moreau.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Rick.
Rick.
Howdy.
Still very busy, still mowing, believe it or not, in October. A lot of things going on, obviously. Take a peek out back. So far, so good. The only interruptions we've had was the generator and fuel supply. Everything's back online, so we should be driving a permanent line while they backfill that, which will be shortly, so that'll get piped in permanently. We can go back to our main supply tank, because we have some temporary ones that are out here feeding us now. The other interruption might be is, I don't know if anybody notices, but we have a telephone pole that's right on the corner of the building back here. It dead ends. Eversource told me we can remove that. And, that's been a problem with the trees and it hugs the building too, so that's kind of good news. Speaking of trees, we also took some trees down over Kim's area that were hanging over the office building, as well as down at the parking lot at the townhouse, just to help with the parking. You know, there's a lot of branches coming down and stuff like that, so highway department helped me set that up, got that taken care of.
There were a lot of dying ash trees there.
Yeah, it was quite a bit, locust, ash, you know. We were able to recover a lot of that timber too, to burn to heat over there, so that was good news. Let's see what else we got for you. Yeah, the soccer field, Emily's aware of this. The thing's been stellar all summer long, and when it comes time to play soccer, we get invaded by grubs and bugs and stuff. So it looks really horrible. I apologize for that, but we'll make it through. Little treatment. We got some rain coming, so I can put some stuff down on Friday and get that water in.
So the grubs just
Yeah, you
eat away at the
literally
roots?
can,
They
in
just-
one handful, I showed her a picture and it's like
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 in one handful. It's incredible. But, I guess
Use
it's
that milky spore stuff, or what do you use?
Grub-X.
Yeah. It's like grub be gone.
Grub-X.
I may have a lot of extra in my barn for you.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
We spent some time at the landfill this morning. That's been mowed last week and took care of the old fence line and everything. Grass was like this high, so it looks really good over there now. I had a problem with the dehumidifier down in the basement. As you know, we got all kinds of files and stuff down there. We need to keep that, so mine, personal one, is down there servicing us now. It's a good backup because I used it at the townhouse when that one went down earlier this year. But pricing a few of those out, so we can get one in here next week. Trying to find one that will shut down, that has a humidity gauge on it. The other one was running constantly, and I checked with Kim, she believes that thing was like 8 or 10 years old.
Wow.
It was just running constantly. Yeah. And back to the rec field, I painted all the dugouts and the equipment shed down there, so they are now green and white, town colors. No difference. They were kind of similar to the color of this building with the white. Probably haven't been touched since they were built. So it was that.
Looks nice.
Yeah, it looks really good down there. Yeah, other than all those few things, budget's kind of good at the moment. Looks like I'm gonna skate by okay. Anybody have any questions or anything I might have missed?
I guess I have one for you and for Carl. Has it been, what's the status of the possibility of changing the electrical service on the townhouse from the left side to the right side?
So I got Brad. Brad is a local supervisor for Eversource in the Chicago office. I think that's where he's out of. Anyway, he came over to look at it, and he actually came up with an idea that Rick and I both liked, which was mounting the meter near. Okay, so you know, I wanted to move it over to the right-hand corner.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have it on the eave side, so he needed to have it on the face. He didn't like that. So he came up with the idea of putting it on its own post. Pedestal, right, away from the building.
But still on the left side?
Still on the left side, close to that utility
Yeah.
pole that would feed it, and we would go underground
Okay.
from the pole to it, and then into the building. So what I need to do now, which I haven't done, is get our electrician to figure out how much that would cost and determine whether we put it on the budget or what. So I need to get a number from the electrician for that.
It seems like even a simpler solution maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just gonna be in the opposite side of the building, close to the pole, so it'll be kind of protected
Yeah.
and not on the building, which
Yeah.
is huge.
Who do
And
we
then we
use
can
for
repair the
electrical
building.
work?
What?
Who do we use for electrical?
We've been using Gus.
Oh yeah, I just was.
Yeah, for that building.
And over here we used Brad Hauser.
Yep, just curious.
Does it make sense to let Rick say what he needs to say about his part of the budget, so he doesn't have to hang around through all those different line items of the agenda, so he can go?
If he wants to. He was gonna be, yeah. Would you prefer that, Rick, or do you wanna wait?
That's fine with me,
Okay.
however you wanna do it, anything.
You're welcome, Rick. Better than going to hazardous waste on Saturday.
I mean, it's just a long, it's
Do we
only,
wanna move, so we're gonna go to the,
just to Rick's portion of the budgeting section, agenda item.
Government buildings.
what page is that on?
It's not, let's see what page number
Oh,
on it. It's, government building, sorry. Oh wait, the page numbers are on the, page 7. Page numbers up behind the
Oh, okay.
staple.
Sure.
Page 7.
Yeah, there we go.
So I'm
I was gonna do sort of a budgetary preamble.
yeah, I mean, maybe to help Rick, because he hasn't had to go through this yet.
Well, there's a whole discussion, I mean, we can jump into it. There's a whole discussion about salaries and insurance, and I don't know if it makes sense to jump into that.
Yeah.
It makes
I
more sense to
think
go
there's
in
sort
order.
of a flow here, but
I mean, he's got like, what, 6,
go ahead, Rick, if you wanna jump in, go for it.
I mean, he's just gonna be here for an hour after, otherwise.
Whatever you wanna do.
We can jump into it, let's go. Roll. So
And
is
you
there-
can do the overview back when we get in sequence.
Yes.
So usually what you say is, these are why we have these numbers under my line items.
Okay.
So whichever of these are, like, I assume the telephone doesn't have anything to do with you, but the HVAC maintenance, cleaning supplies, building maintenance, grounds.
Okay, well, you're gonna see some that are scratched off, and I'll explain that. What we're trying to do is, you see in different buildings and whatnot, so we're trying to merge these into two basic lines, which you're gonna see 714 and 715. The last three numbers. We're taking all the buildings, rec building, police building, town office building, et cetera, and merging them so you have buildings and grounds. And,
So, I'm just trying to compare them to see what type of increase we're looking at.
The big increase is in the energy audit. There is about 28,000 to vapor seal and insulate the ceiling, am I right, Rick?
yes,
And then 2,000 for repairing ductwork.
the duct
So
work
that's
as well.
kind of the big hit. There's also incremental chunks from all the other maintenance budgets, so that Rick has leeway to go use his credit card to buy screws for the town garage or whatever, you know, just to give him a little more leeway. So much of the increase that you would see in government buildings is actually a slight decrease in all the other budgets, so the net is not as much as it looks.
Okay.
It's really the 36,000 has 28,000 for this building to make it more heat efficient.
Okay.
And that's, you know, something you guys can decide should happen, or, you know, see how that goes.
Yeah, and Gabrielle's here to explain that as time goes on, you know, so you understand that process, where that number came from.
Any other big variances, Rick, that you thought we should? We tried to group some of the cleaning supplies
Exactly.
more in Rick's budget so that he can do bulk buying more efficiently. The generator numbers down a little. Everything
I
else.
think it's just gonna simplify it where, instead of having 11 different places to, different lines to get the finance, it's just gonna,
Yeah, that'll make more sense next year too, because we can then see the difference of those two lines.
you know, like, I didn't have all the buildings either, you know, I had some, but some not the others, and like, for instance, if I did something for Glenn, like, I have to get him to code my receipt to give to the land, you know, and same thing with the town garage, you know.
Sort of taking down bureaucracy a little bit.
Yeah, it's just another step, so we thought this would be a good way to run it by you. Just merge everything into two different things, so everything goes on the same line, all the buildings.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So those energy improvements to this building, that's included in this 36,000 and change?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you, Rick or Gabrielle, could describe what that is, that's a result of the energy audit?
We had a, came in and did an energy audit back in September, and one of their recommendations was to, if I pop one of these ceiling tiles up, you'd see that what you're looking at is the attic insulation. And in a lot of places, you're looking at the attic, wherever anybody over the years has done anything up there. So what you typically would see would be sheetrock. It's not there, it's just.
How does the insulation stay up there? There's batting or something?
Well, the furnace
strapping?
strips are up there like they were
Okay.
going to sheetrock, but for whatever reason they didn't. So,
So it's just stapled to the,
exactly,
To
I
the
mean, the insulation has a
floor
vapor
truss.
barrier on it, that's what it's fastened by. But what they wanna do is take these ceilings down, polyurethane, staple it up there, and then we're gonna add more blown-in insulation above what we have to give us the proper R value. I think that'll seal the building. The draft test they did, I think, it's like 5 times the norm for this average size square foot building.
it's a pretty new building, that's a problem.
And as well as all the ductwork, and most of that is running between these ceiling tiles and the space above it. So, like I say, over time, any of the repair work, or somebody's looking for something, they pulled up insulation. Any of that ductwork that you get at will be resealed, insulated, tightened up. And I think that's a good start. The noticeable stuff. And it's sort of turn sheet and explain it in detail, but that's pretty much what it is. They have a few other recommendations too, but this is the starting point in my hearing. I would start here with this.
So that's the one big increase in the buildings.
And obviously, that's just a single year thing, so that won't come up next year. Not that something else will, but. Alright, yeah, does anybody have any questions for Rick on the proposed?
Me.
Rich Collins?
Thanks. Hi, Rich.
Is there any other lines you want me to explain or try to? You eliminated most of them, so. With the, other than the insurances, the salaries and stuff like that.
So the eight,
Everything else is pretty set in stone, isn't it? I mean, telephone, electricity,
Yeah.
and fuel. Shut off the water and sewer.
yeah,
Alright,
The furniture one, I'm still not sure about, but.
oh, alright,
So does everybody understand how we were thinking that?
I think so.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, that makes
that makes
sense.
sense.
that's the big increases. So how much of the 36, maybe you just said that, how much of the 36,000? 28. Okay, so most, all of the increases.
Yeah.
And on that big number too, there's also, and Debbie, I'll tell you too, there's a 30% Inflation Reduction Act thing going on with that too, so there might be savings in that as well.
Did you have any surprises that weren't accounted for in the budget this year, that you ran up against?
Just trying to run as lean as I can, there's stuff that I really need,
Yeah,
but like Denise doesn't have any equipment, luckily I do, but I mean, we're making it work. Luckily, no breakdowns
yeah.
with mowing and stuff like that.
Does, not that we don't want you here forever, but, is that something we should be thinking about? Starting to collect equipment so that you're not using your own? Or whoever comes.
I have a lot, but I don't have everything.
Yeah, And I mean, you're
Like,
putting wear and tear on your
A
own.
simple pressure washer would be great
Yeah.
to pick up, you know, just because, Mary across the street at the library, you know, the cobwebs. I did the same thing at the townhouse on the entranceway, just trying to,
Maybe what you should do is make a wish list
yeah.
of things that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
alright. Do you have anything else for us?
Christmas list.
Maybe not this Christmas, but in a few years. Do you have anything else for us on the budget?
No,
Okay. I think it
I
makes
think I'm good.
sense. Alright. So we
Or
are,
if we get something, but.
yeah. Well, thanks for thinking about how to consolidate those.
It wasn't just my idea either.
I'm just giving you the credit, we know.
we will move on to the Carroll County Communications District update with Pam Hardy.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in tonight, Rick.
Hi, I'm Pam Byrne. If I do this from my lap, I'm probably not going to be able to read very clearly. I think what I'll do is I'll move where Rick is and I'll put it on the chair in front of me. My
Or you can-
eyesight's
Or you
failing.
can sit over there if you want.
Could I?
Sure.
You don't mind?
No.
And you're up
I
front.
just moved it. Out, move that out. You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm waiting for my cataracts to get really bad before insurance will take care of them. Ooh. Okay. Oy, oy, oy. I'm a pretty good speaker, I'm a pretty lousy reader, and I'm not so great at writing, but I tried my best. Pam Hurd again. I stepped up and was elected to the board of directors as vice chair of my first meeting at Carroll County Communications District on August 8th, 2023. There's a long history of participation in the formation of this district, which may be found in the brief but nice bullet point in the CCCD annual report received by this board's town administrator on September 29th. So even though we haven't been around for a year, there was still an annual report filled out, and that's here for you guys to look at. I encourage every select member, and anyone else that's here tonight for that matter, to check out the cccdnh.org website. I believe all the information I will be sharing with you tonight is on this website, with a few exceptions. There's a particular section on the menu called Learning, which is full of useful and helpful information and tips. A communications district was formed by the towns of Carroll County. District simply means an unpaid but recognized committee under New Hampshire RSA 53-G, which I only learned of a few months ago. We are made up of 16 member towns in Carroll County. 15 of the 16 towns are now represented by at least one member. The first meeting in June of 2023 covered subcommittee elections. There was still a lot of paperwork to get filed with the state of New Hampshire at that point. But, as I said, cccdnh.org has all of our meeting minutes right on there, so you can see all the information that was done at the first meeting. The second meeting in July of 2023 continued with that same process, really talking about subcommittees. One of note, the Advocacy Subcommittee reported on the new New Hampshire Senate Bill, SB 222, and it was then signed by the governor. It changed the minimum download-upload speeds to 100 millibytes per second over 20 millibytes per second. which I will return to in a little later in my report. The third meeting of the CCCD had its first guest speaker, an ISP representative, an internet service provider representative, Jeff McCliver from Consolidated Communications and Fidium reported that there is an engineering site in Carroll County, began in July, and will share more concrete information and maps with the CCCD as soon as it becomes available. More about maps later on in this presentation. CCCD let Jeff know our mission or goal was to facilitate internet infrastructure and funding grants with the ISPs, the internet service providers, and the government agencies. The truth of the matter is that Consolidated, or Fidium, which is this newer high-speed internet, fiber optic internet, was initially slated to be coming to us this September. The actual truth of the matter is, Jeff shared with us, is that we'll begin to see some of Fidium's fiber optic installed in our homes and businesses the end of 2024, possibly 2025. Initial ads were proposing that it was this fall. The CCCD expects another visit from Jeff with maps and partner up on grant opportunities to facilitate internet for all in the community in Carroll County. Our next meeting included 2 more guest speakers. This is our 4th meeting since the beginning of this organization. Matt Concerta, who is the program manager of the New Hampshire Office of Broadband Initiatives, and a guy named Clay Purvis, who is the federal program manager for Vermont, New Hampshire. It's out of the Office of Internet Connectivity and Growth in the U.S. Department of Commerce. It's got a name called the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. Matt, first from the New Hampshire Broadband Initiatives, reported financial update on the state of New Hampshire. Current capital projects are $122 million. The first request for a proposal was to spend $50 million of that from the CARES Act. As a result, 48,000 unique addresses and households were targeted in the state of New Hampshire to provide them with internet service from this investment and the New Hampshire Electric Cooperative, which is an IPS provider. It'll eventually service 23,000 more residences. Currently, the project has an estimated cost of about $2,000 per household when installing this stuff. There's an additional $66 million, which means it provides an opportunity for CCCD to work with Matt, and our ISP partners to apply for funding to cover the unserved, and that's unserved people without internet, in 2024, which is right around the corner. Clay Purvis, from the federal government, he says his offices in Washington are tiny, stuck there in the middle of nowhere in the Washington. Clay provided an in-depth PowerPoint presentation introducing us to the federally funded broadband equity, access and deployment, which is known as BEAD, B-E-A-D, and its grant programs. This is to get us all online by funding partnerships to increase adoption of high-speed internet. Mark's work at the New Hampshire state level and the information from his work on BEAD grants will dovetail with keeping an accurate record of homes served as the bridge to build unserved residents and businesses in New Hampshire to get internet. Thus, in the coming months, the CCCD board members will be working diligently to provide updated addresses by town who are unserved and underserved. Clay brought up this mapping initiative. New Hampshire, University of New Hampshire, is one of the mapping initiative groups, and it's mapping of towns by household, and it's underway now as we speak, and it provides the town colored maps and information about internet speed and so forth and so on. So the CCCD is now fully functioning now for the last 4 months and can collaborate with these agencies and the ISP providers and make a difference. Education is the key here. I threw in my hat into the Outreach and Education Subcommittee last meeting. I am a better speaker than a writer, but I don't know how I'm doing so far. There are 3 key words to this whole thing. Served, people that have internet. Underserved, which is now in the state of New Hampshire 100 millibytes per second over 20 millibytes per second, which means 100 millibytes per second to download and 20 millibytes per second to upload. And then there's unserved. Anyone with speeds of 100 millibytes per second download and 20 millibytes per second are known as underserved. So good old DSL is now considered underserved. That's not even close to what I'm currently receiving for download and upload speeds. So I'm actually unserved, I found out. So now we get back to this speed test initiative for the state of New Hampshire. One of the sites is with UNH, as I disclosed earlier. It's very important that all the households with internet take these speed tests. Everyone in the town of Tamworth that has internet. Offices, businesses, everybody. It gives the site a true reading of internet speeds. If your speed's great, great. If it's not, then you need help. And that's what these groups are about. And this CCCD group is basically collaborating between these ISPs and government agencies and doing their very best, from what I've learned in a few months, to really get some work going here. Unfortunately, I have one more page, but I'll be done shortly, because this is what I didn't copy. Next, it's imperative that you register your internet speed with the New Hampshire MAP initiative. So you've got one thing that you can find on the learning site of cccdnh.org called the speed test. You can launch it right there. And then you can go to learning again on ccc.org, cccnewhampshire.nh.org, and go to the MAP initiative. That's what Clay talked about. When I went to register my address on the MAP initiative, I was listed as 1,000 millibytes per second and 50 millibytes per second for uploading. Clay informed me at the meeting, and this was before I went to go test, that I was unserved, and I've already announced that already, but that's okay. Here's another scenario. Even if you're with Spectrum, which is, from what I've learned, the fastest ISP going on now in this county, their download-upload speeds can be very high, or they can be very low. It depends on whether you're coming in from this fiber optic, which has to be dug underground, or from the telephone wires. Telephone wires is known as DSL. For instance, a house on the corner of Old Mail Road and right next to paved road, the Chinook Trail, have somewhere close to these high speeds with Spectrum. That's where Spectrum stopped laying their lines, whether it be fiber optic or on the telephone line. Everybody else up Old Mail Road has underserved or unserved speeds. I'm not here to give you a list of internet providers for this town to choose at this point. We're not there yet. The ISPs are doing a wonderful job advertising their wondrous speeds and services. Sorry, that's just my opinion. I shouldn't have included that. But anyway, I am here today to let you know that we have a real need for all our residents in our town to report these true speeds and then go to the MAP initiative and see what speeds are recorded for that exact address. Remember, Clay is going by information he receives from the speed tests, but more importantly, the MAP initiative. In short, as early as 2024, residents like me with shoddy service or unserved service have 60 days to dispute what the MAP initiative says. So I've already put in one dispute thing in the little box that it says, what would you like to share? We're going to be seeing a lot of those boxes from me over time. Otherwise, I'll be overlooked by the fiber optic industry that's coming to this county, coming our way as served. Because remember, I was at 1,000. I'm going to spread the news around our town and county like some kind of old-fashioned street bellower. My tools will include the Tamworth Exchange, school newsletter, flyers, the farmers market, WMWV, George Cleveland's already on board, the Conway Sun, other neighboring papers, and any other ideas you, the CCCD, my neighbors, friends, and any acquaintances in my circles will listen. Will give me suggestions. I'm sorry, I didn't put that the right way. I'm looking for any suggestions on how to reach people. So here's what I need you to do. Would you consider including a flyer in your next mailing of the biannual tax collection invoices this December? It's another avenue to slip in something with the same postage that would give information on the need for testing your internet speed and going to the MAP initiative and finding out what your actual address has listed. This concludes my report. Please remember I am a newbie. I will answer your questions as best as I can. I may use refer to the website or the annual report, or simply get back to me, or I'll get back to you what I don't know at this point. So thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Can you email me? I don't know if you can email me, but can I get a copy of that?
Yeah, it's a rough draft. Do you mind?
No, not at
Being
all. It's
rough?
just more than I could,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I had a lot of stuff.
No, it's great.
You're welcome to keep this.
Okay,
'Cause I can
terrific. Thank
just,
you.
I'm not responsible for spelling, for punctuation,
I
for
will.
word order.
If it's okay with you, I'll attach it to the minutes as the report.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's
only
lots
going to
of
go to the minutes,
Yeah.
right? Oh, God almighty.
It's not going in the newspaper.
That's all right. That's cool too. We have someone at the Conway Sun that's interested in anything internet, and they're willing to listen to the CCCD. It's going to take me a long time to get those
Too many
letters
C's there.
to roll off my tongue.
It used to be worse.
But at first I went there and I
I
thought,
like that.
wow, we haven't done
Sounds
anything.
Catholic.
And what they've actually been through since 2018 is a lot. And they've done a damn good job at going through all the hoops and all the balance acts that one needs to get a district pulled together, a communications district. There's an actual set of forms and just endless stuff to do. They had a planning committee for roughly 2.5 years. It was financed by the Carroll County itself.
Yeah, we had good presentations from them as they were in process.
Good, thank you. I figured you might. And they did a bang-up job, and they returned all the money to Carroll County. So on the internet, you'll also see a YouTube video of us going back, our president, our director, going back to ask for more funds. Because right now, I think we're running with $57 in our account.
Pam,
Quite a budget.
I had a couple questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay.
Was I right in hearing that the new minimum up and downs was 100 megabits?
Yeah.
So it's 100 megabits symmetrical.
Right.
Both ways?
Wow.
No.
Okay.
No, not symmetrical.
Okay.
Okay.
It's 120.
20.
Okay, 20 up. Okay.
Right, it's
That-
20 up.
I got really excited for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
And-
but symmetrical is what we're aiming for.
Sure.
And thank you, because I'm so glad I know that answer.
Good. I'll try to do another one, you know. And I think you answered it as the CCDNH.org is where the speed test is located.
Yes, it's right there on that site. It's
there
under learning.
Okay.
Go to the menu and go to learning. Got my fingers crossed that I can answer your question.
Okay. All right, last one. Old technology, old routers can greatly reduce the transmission speeds that are logged. If you have an old Wi-Fi 5 router and you're doing this over Wi-Fi, you're going to get, I just did it myself, I had an old router and it was getting me 100 down. I changed nothing about my ISP service, got a new Wi-Fi 6 router, and I've gotten 300 down now. So is there anything being done to account for old hardware that's likely causing some of these latencies?
I do not know that answer.
Okay.
And I don't know as I've seen it on the website, but that may not be true. If I'm reading, I've got to read it 4 or 5 times for me to comprehend it. So there might be something under learning, but I can't answer that for you now. I'd be happy
That's
to
okay.
come back with an answer.
I think it's just
How
worth
old is an
noting.
old router, by the way? More than a year old,
Did you
more
buy
than
it
2 years?
6 minutes ago?
No.
Don't do it now because there's a new Wi-Fi 7 coming out. But yeah, really a couple of years old and you need to replace it if you want to get the best performance possible. Even firmware updates will make
Ours is at least a couple years old.
And if people have been getting miserable service, they're probably just not
But-
doing anything with them.
And most
right?
people use the router modem combo that their ISP gives them, and that ISPs don't tend to update those frequently. So
No,
Yeah.
they don't,
Probably
even when you call.
yep.
I just did a speed test here. It was better than I thought. 267 download, but less than 7 upload.
Yeah.
So it's pretty slow.
That's over
Right.
Wi-Fi though too.
Yeah.
That's Wi-Fi. Mine at home on Mountain Road in South Tamworth is on a good moment, 21 download. And upload is 1, sometimes 2.
Wow.
Sometimes 2.
Alright.
So I was astounded. It makes me want to bellow, everybody. And then to find my MAP initiative residents as 1,000 over 50
Yeah. That's,
was pretty outrageous. So it's a lot of entities trying to pull together information that they clearly don't have. That's why I'm asking to consider having you all help by putting in a flyer
Yeah.
with the biannual tax bill.
And I can do research on whether there's precedent for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
and we need to
And
talk
the
to the tax
cost.
collector
Yeah.
about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Right, good. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for even considering it.
Thanks,
I'm looking
Pam.
into it.
Yeah, thank you for coming in tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
That's a first for me.
Good
I'm
job.
used to talking to kids, not adults.
Alright. We're gonna move on to the townhouse design.
No, we crossed
He's out.
out.
I'm sorry. We are gonna move on to the capital improvement program 2024 with Kathy Paget, sorry.
Hi, Henry. Hi, y'all. Do you want me to sit back here? You
That's
Or I sit
fine.
somewhere
You're
else. Okay, I think I can speak loud enough. And I've given this presentation in great detail more than once. So if I start putting in too much detail that you don't want, just please tell me and I'll be happy to slow it down. As you know, the CIP committee is briefed with producing for your use under the auspices of the planning committee, or the planning board, I should say, a list of recommendations regarding capital improvement purchases over the next 6 years. Primarily the first 2024 fiscal year is the most important, and then after that the numbers get squishy. But the numbers for 2024 are as good as we can make them, and you can use them in coming up with this year's budget. That's the plan. I'm going to just move right to the key page, which is page 6, which is the expense detail by department page. And I know you have all received this in your emails, so I didn't make additional paper copies, but if anyone needs something, we could probably make something pretty fast.
You know, we have that.
And I've got a copy here too.
It's a date.
I think that's the one that just came in today, right?
No.
It's been a week or two.
Oh, that's the town.
Should have been a week or two. I think it would have come from Melissa Donaldson.
Yeah, right here, I just saw it. 9:25.
So, as you can see from this,
Sorry, Kathy, what page did you say?
page 6,
Thank you.
section 2.0, expense detail by department. It's making me feel really uncomfortable with people turning around looking at me. Do you mind if I just move up one row? It's distracting me, I'm sorry.
That's page 6.
Thank you.
So the primary drivers of this year's capital expense budget, as you can see, are the usual ones: the school, the highway department, the transfer station. The transfer station numbers are what I'll call the squishiest. It's very hard to tell what's actually happening with the transfer station. There was a warrant article in 2021 where $100,000, I think it was allocated for putting in a bathroom at the transfer station, which to my knowledge has not happened yet. But in 2022, a warrant article was included which had 3 amounts, one for that year, one for the 2023 fiscal year, and one for 2024 fiscal year. And as far as I can tell, the determination has been made that those 3 amounts, 22 through 24, did not go into the capital reserve fund, which was established in 2021. So if you look at the, let's see what page this is, page 8, the capital reserve list, you'll see that the Transfer Station Improvements Trust has $128,199.23. And the Transfer Station Improvements Line Fund has $97,204.68. Clearly, the $274,460 that was supposed to go in 2023 hasn't been paid yet, or hadn't been paid as of June when we got the report from Bob Seston. And I'm not clear on whether that amount is going to be paid.
It doesn't go to the capital reserve.
But it is not going in the capital reserve fund. So on our report, page 6, we did include the $274,460 in fiscal year 2024. If in fact that amount is paid and things are under contract and the project goes forward, then in the year 2025 and going forward, we'll need to talk about more money. But at this point, we don't have that information. So this is the last year that we've shown this amount for, and it's not in the capital reserve fund. It would be in the general fund. One thing I'll note is that the trash compactor, that is item B1 under the transfer station, that original estimate was for $25,000, and we had carried it forward several years at $25,000. but in fact, the price came through and it's actually $40,175, so that's why that amount has increased. Under the highway department, the articulating loader, we had been pushing that out year after year after year, trying to save that $250,000. We can't push that out anymore, according to Richard Roberts, that they need it now. And so this year looks really bad because we've got that being purchased, $250,000. We have the Bridge Capital Reserve Fund. They're finishing the Mountain Road Bridge this year being 2024, and I should say next year because this obviously isn't 2024. And the usual fund for road reconstruction and paving. One little thing that became sort of a last minute addition was the F-350 pickup truck. We're also not clear on whether that has actually been approved and whether the 2023 $35,000 portion of it has been paid or will be paid. But we included the second half of the purchase price in 2024 so that if it does go forward, then it's in there and you're aware of it. The school district, $400,000. That's a lot more than we usually have under the school district, and that amount is increased and carried forward for 6 years because, as you all are aware, the oldest part of the school is 70 years old. During the COVID pandemic, we discovered, or we confirmed, that a lot of the pipes, a lot of the ductwork just have to be replaced. They've been patched and repatched and patched again for the last, 70 years. No longer possible to do that. We need to just rip it out, start over. We have received from the state of New Hampshire the amount of $438,000, which will be decided this coming Tuesday night, the 10th of October, whether that goes back into the general fund for the town or whether the town will approve giving it to the school to put toward this project so that we could do a bigger chunk up front. The way it's set up now, we've asked the HVAC guys to give us, in 6 chunks, roughly $500,000 chunks, how we can do the project and finish it in 6 years. They wanted $3.5 million, well actually $3.2 million to do it all at one time. As you all know, anytime you drag something out over 6 years, the price goes up. So it's going to be more like $3.5 million. We hope it won't be more than that. But we've allocated $400,000 here in addition to the $438,000 that we're going to ask the town to approve giving back to the school this next Tuesday. That would give us a good chunk to get started with, and we could do most of the piping and ductwork in the old portion of the school, which is that front piece that faces 113A. Failing that, if the town does not vote to let the school keep that, we'll have to cut back the planned part for 2024. Obviously, we won't complete all the ductwork and all the piping in 1 year. So.
Kathy, can I just ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
I met with Jack today, Waldron, and he said that the $437,000 would pay for the $400,000 that the school needs to raise this year.
No.
But what I heard you say is it's in addition to.
Yes. That's not what he said. I mean, maybe.
Well, it is what he said, but,
Well, Jack and I talk about this every day.
Okay.
We've been talking about it for a year.
Uh-huh.
We need the 400 that's under this, regardless of whether the town
Yeah,
gives
he
us
said
back the
ESSER
438.
funds and that, and then something else.
These are, ESSER funds are
That's what he
a
said.
different amount, yes. Okay. Well, I will agree to be proven wrong
Me
if
too.
Jack says something different, but we have been talking about this for an awful long time, and I don't think I misunderstood it, but maybe I did. So, at any rate, in the capital improvement program report, we've shown $400,000 as the amount to be spent by the school. Anybody have any other questions you want to ask about the report? You have a board member here of the CIP committee right
Yeah.
here,
Not
so
an expert.
if you have questions, you can ask Emery.
The 250 in the highway fund for road repaving, that's the same 250 that goes in the highway budget, right?
Right.
And you include, okay, so that's already,
These
of
are,
the 785, 250 sort of every year
Yeah. Right.
in there, okay. And that's true of the 25, which is actually now 30, that's listed in the town government. That's already in our operating budget.
Under property reval, it's now 30 for each year, you mean?
For the annual assessing fee, which is an annual contract.
Well, thanks for telling me that, we will change that.
Okay, and then the
Can I borrow your pen for 1 second? Thank
50
you.
probably is less, but we'll see. Still working on that contract.
Do we have any other question?
so the, I do Kathy, so the 438,000?
438, it's 437, 962 something,
Round up.
438.
So that money came from the state, as I understand it. Tamworth and Laconia got the biggest chunks because of our demographic and scores and free and reduced numbers and all of those things.
Correct.
So the town really has the latitude to spend that on anything at all, and it doesn't have to be directly.
It doesn't come to the school, it comes to the town. But what it is the Department of Education and the legislature rejiggered, for lack of a better term, rejiggered the amount of what an adequate education
Right.
costs.
Yeah.
It's still nowhere near what an adequate education costs, but it's more than it was, and we would get 438,000. Madison got 15 and Freedom got none.
Yeah.
So the towns that have the highest, as you say, free and reduced lunch population got the bulk of the funds.
Yeah. And it can just be used by anything by the town. It doesn't have to directly correlate to improving adequate education.
It can go back to the town, but we're hoping that it doesn't.
Yeah.
We're hoping that you, in your
I'm just saying, it's
immense
amazingly,
generosity-
it's an amazingly broad
It's
distribution
an either
of
or,
money.
as I understand it.
Yeah.
It's, I thought it either can go to reduce the tax impact,
Yeah,
or it can go to be used
For a
by the school
project,
district.
that's
what
Correct. There's no sort of mix and match.
yeah. No, I'm just amazed that we can use it for anything but directly using it for the school.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. If it's, you know,
No, I get
if
it.
it's connected to providing an adequate education.
Well,
Yeah.
supposedly, it's not forward-looking, it's backward-looking,
Yeah,
the amount they're giving us. So supposedly, we've already spent that amount, but as you know, being in the education field, there's always more.
yeah,
You
yeah.
always need more than you get.
There you go. And that decision gets made at, town meeting?
Tuesday night. No,
Tuesday
school
night
board.
special meeting.
Special,
Oh,
a
the school,
special
okay.
meeting on Tuesday night that's been noticed and all that stuff.
Of the school board,
Of
Of the
of
school
the
board.
town,
of the town.
public hearing.
Yeah.
But the school board will be running it, so, yes.
Great, okay.
Any other questions? Okey-dokey.
So,
Thanks for the.
yeah, thank you
Welcome.
very much
Thanks for all that
coming in.
hard work.
You're welcome.
Moving on to the Energy Committee with Gabrielle Watson.
Hi, thanks
Good
for inviting me back again. We actually covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about with Rick's presentation, so I'll kind of move quickly through that part of it. I had 3 things that I wanted to bring for discussion, but just very quickly to give an update. We had a button-up workshop 2 weeks ago to help residents learn about how to make their homes more efficient and save them money on their heating bills. We had 25 people there. We recorded the session. It's on the website, so if you go to the town website and go to the Energy Committee portion of it, the recording is there and all the slides are there, so people can find out about it there. I've already had people inquire about it, so hopefully others will find that useful. And we had a sort of a listening session last week at the library to hear about people's vision of future for Tamworth and energy and our energy future. And mainly we heard three things that people are really interested in finding out about: the possibility of more solar in town, the possibility of wind in town, and that they want initiatives to be equitably beneficial to everybody in town. And then we heard that very strongly from people at that meeting. So we have three things to talk about: the energy audit for this building, the membership in Clean Energy New Hampshire, and the third one was, oh my gosh,
Power.
Community Power. Yeah, so that one just is an announcement, so I'll just make that one really quickly. We have 2 public hearings scheduled to share information with the town members about Community Power and to get input from community members about what they want in terms of how we set up collective energy purchasing for the town in order to save us money and give us more options. The first one, they're both going to be at the townhouse, and the first one will be Tuesday, October 17th at 7 p.m. So for working people, that's the one to go to. And the second one, they'll be basically the same meeting. The second one will be November 27th, also at the townhouse. That's a Wednesday, and that'll be at 3 in the afternoon. The 29th, sorry. And that'll be at 3 in the afternoon. For both of those meetings, we'll have a Zoom option. And so look for announcements in Conway Daily Sun and the Exchange and posters and every place else we can think of. There will be representatives from Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire at both of those meetings, we hope, to answer questions about the coalition and to learn more about the program. So the energy audit, Rick really covered the 2 main recommendations that came out of that audit. You know, basically, we're spending a lot of money to heat this space, and the air is going through the ceiling tiles and filtering through the little bit of insulation that we have up into the unheated attic and going out to the rate of like 5 times what it should be, basically. So the main recommendation of the audit is to put an impermeable barrier in the attic spaces between the heated space and the unheated space, and then top off the insulation, like get the insulation back where it should be, and then top it off with another couple 6 inches of blown in cellulose insulation. And they estimate that that will save us per year just under $3,000 doing that. We spend about $10,000 a year to heat this building, both electricity and propane. So that's like a third. That's going to save us a third of what we're spending for this building right now on energy.
So, can I interrupt this for a second? So, are there systems that will be buried with this blown-in insulation?
No, it should not be the case. Right now, my understanding is there's some catwalks that get you to the different, the 3 furnaces, for lack of a better term, that are up in the attic, the unheated attic space. So the insulation would go on top of what's there right now, which is some fiberglass. But fiberglass is basically just, it's a filter if there's no air barrier.
Right.
So right now we have a very expensive air filter up there, and so we need an air barrier.
Well, Rick was saying that it had been moved over the years to do work and not put back properly. I'm just thinking, is that going to happen again?
So
Except
presumably,
it'll be deeper.
our contractors will put in the air barrier, put the fiberglass insulation back where it should be, and then top it off with another 6 inches of cellulose.
And will never be touched again.
I think he's asking,
I'm
like,
saying,
what
so
moved it in the first
what
place?
moved
What
the
had to be
insulation?
worked
Why-
on?
Did someone have to go down to a duct, or did someone have to go to
Yeah.
some plumbing, or it's just,
Yeah.
you know, we're gonna bury it even deeper, and the next guy up there is just gonna plow it out of the way to do what he has to do.
Yeah, so I am not an insulation technician, so I
Yeah.
can't answer your question perfectly, but the next step would be to get, you know, quality insulation or superior insulation in here and have them come and give us an estimate and say how they would approach doing it. Because one of the questions that Rick had was, where are you gonna put the air barrier? Like, are you gonna have to remove all of the ceiling and the lighting and put it up from this side? Or do you go in from the attic and you remove all the insulation, put it down, replace the insulation? There's, we're gonna have to make a determination about what's the best approach to that, and obviously if there's mechanical equipment that needs access, that's a consideration.
And I think one difference now is we never had a maintenance person. And so
Right.
theoretically, that person would check the work.
Keep an eye on it,
But one thing
Or look at it
one thing I
proactively
would
to
just
make
say
sure things get boxed off or something.
yeah.
we need to keep an eye on is, as this construction goes on, there are water and electrical lines that are going to come in. And we just need to make sure it's all coordinated. Their construction managers seem to think that there was a space for the mechanicals between where the vapor stuff goes and this ceiling.
Ceiling time.
So that there's this like area where that all happens, but I haven't been up there, so I don't know, but that's what he was
Right.
implying. Yeah.
Okay.
Gabrielle, what was the total cost of the project?
For that piece of it, 25,500 roughly, with a slightly under 9-year buyback period. Annual savings of just under $3,000.
I just wanna ask, any builders in the room, like what is that impermeable barrier gonna do for air quality in a room that I think already has bad air quality?
We'll have to have more air exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying,
Increase
that's
the air
it's
exchange,
it's rough
No, I
having
mean,
meetings in here
It's
for
a
any
trade-off
period of time.
when you seal up a room for energy, it's a trade-off with, you
Yeah.
have to do something about
Keith,
the
I
quality.
think your
Yeah.
Zoom ended.
Oh, does somebody want to try and get in?
Oh,
No, it's
just
just ended.
you were on the freezer.
I'm just saying, let's
Yeah.
make sure that when we have our
I haven't run a Zoom account.
$25,000 estimate, that really we might be looking at more because there might be other factors. Like
Yeah.
if we do have to build in case in around whatever might be up there and to address air quality improvements.
So I'm gonna jump ahead to the bottom of the list, which is one of the additional recommendations that they made, which is about air exchange. That there basically isn't any mechanism for mechanical air exchange in the building. And so they are recommending to install something that is a sort of a modern air exchange mechanism, one or more of those, and they don't say how many they think we need, how much they cost,
Yeah.
or anything. But basically what they do is they take outside air, they heat it, and they bring that air into the building. Or if we're cooling the building in the summertime, they would bring outdoor air and cool it and bring it into the building. So it's more efficient. But it ensures that you have adequate air exchange. Right now, we have a lot of air exchange. Like we have 5 times more air exchange than we probably should have
Even
right
though it
now
doesn't feel
because
like
of the
Yeah.
lack of the air sealing. And so it does beg the question that if some people are having problems with air quality, do we need to have somebody come in and test for air quality? That's not an efficiency issue, that's an air
Right.
quality issue.
Does that back on the money, does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
$3,000 in savings also account for the electricity savings on air conditioning? summer?
I don't know,
Or is that just like the heating?
I think it's the BTUs
Okay.
that they're calculating, yeah. Yep. The other recommendation that Rick mentioned is, the air ducts going from the heating units in the attic area have some areas that just have no insulation around them, so they're in the ambient outdoor temperatures in the wintertime, and so they're losing some efficiency. They're just saying fully wrap those areas that aren't wrapped. That's a really inexpensive project, it's less than $3,000. Won't save you that much money, it's about $221 a year in savings, but you'll be up there anyway doing the insulation, might as well do that at the same time. They had 3 recommendations that we thought don't make sense right now to do. One of them we don't think it makes sense at all to do, and that is they recommended putting additional wall insulation underneath the siding as you replace the siding. If you did the entire building, you might save $700 a year. That would cost us $38,000 to do. take 50 years to pay back, we don't think it's worth doing. So we nixed that. Rick agreed with that. They also recommended air source heat pumps to replace the use of our current HVAC system, and an air source heat pump for the water heater. The water heater probably makes sense for us to think about doing sooner than later because it's less than $2,000. It'll save us about $250 a year. Right now, our water heater is about 5-6 years old. It probably has a number of years left on it, so there's no urgency to doing it. But it's cheap money to save a bit more money, and it'll pay for itself pretty quickly in about 7 years. So we're saying don't do that now, but if the water heater starts making noises, think about doing that. Then for the air source heat pumps, that would mean having mini splits in every room. You might leave in the current HVAC system as a backup, or you might take it out and then you wouldn't have to worry about that attic space anymore. But that's a big ticket item. They're saying it would be about $84,000. It would save us almost $4,000 a year, but it would take almost 20 years to pay that back. So unless we can get a lot of grant money for that, it's going to be hard for me to say we should do that until the HVAC system is failing, basically. That would be our recommendation.
Yeah, because what's the life expectancy of one of those systems?
Of
the mini splits right
the air
now?
source, that's a good question. I'd have to come back to you on that. I don't know the answer to that. Our HVAC system's not new. It's about 15 years old. I think it's about the age of the building. But Rick does very regular maintenance on it, and so that costs a little bit, but
I'm
it's
getting
working.
10 to 15, 20 years, 8 to 18, so 20-year buyback is not going to be cost effective because then we'll have to.
And they'll get cheaper.
Yeah,
as
they
they
will
go
get
on.
cheaper, and you're
Yeah.
going to save about $4,000 a year. That's where your big money savings would come
Yeah.
from in terms of lowering the energy cost for the building. But it's a big upfront investment. So what I'll say about all of these numbers that I'm talking about, like how much it costs, the Inflation Reduction Act that Rick mentioned provides for a 30% direct pay to the municipality for any energy efficiency initiative that you undertake. So all of these numbers are, you can minus 30% from it. And then the Energy Committee would like to get your permission to seek grants for further reducing the cost of the investments. So for instance, if we found there's like this great grant program for air source heat pumps, and we're getting 30% off the cost, and they'll pay 75% of it, now our buyback period is going to be like 5 years.
Yes, great.
So that would be my recommendation. If we can find that, I would say it's almost a no-brainer to put it in. Leave the HVAC system up there, until we get used to it and figure out. But it does heating, it does air conditioning, and it does dehumidification. So if there's a mold issue that is part of what's contributing to people's discomfort, that would help with that as well. We don't think there is a mold issue, by the way.
I don't feel like it's mold.
Yeah.
I know mold.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of us who live in old houses kind of know what mold is.
I live with mold.
So the other two recommendations that they had, one was the air exchange that we already talked about. So we want to research that a little bit and find out how much does that cost? How many would we need? And if we got an HVAC professional in here, maybe they could do some air quality testing while they're at it and see if there is anything in the air. And then the other recommendation is they say that we have optimal roof for solar, but they don't tell us how much that would cost or what the payback period would be. So that's a piece of research that we would like to do. And again, for that, there would be a 30% payback, direct pay from the Inflation Reduction Act for the solar. So as you saw, Rick has already placed the two, really justifiable energy efficiency items in the budget. We think that what the town's ultimately gonna pay for that is gonna be less than what's in this budget. We know at least by 30%, and we're hoping to get grants to further reduce those.
And one of the pieces of research is whether you have, in the warrant article, you can get the reimbursable. So that's just a thing we have to research.
Yeah.
So that you would only raise the 70%. But right now, the full amount is in the budget.
Yeah.
Do we know how long that 30% from the IRA is, what's the lifespan on that?
The IRA currently is for 10 years. So we could do one project now, and we can do another project next year, another project, so we can keep
Okay.
multiple bites at the apple. It re-ups every year. I don't know if there's a limit on how much you can tap into per year. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Alright.
So is it okay if we go after some grant funding?
The only time you need our approval is when it's about to be submitted and we might need to sign it.
Okay,
But in general, yes.
okay. Including for the air source heat pumps, investigate that?
But,
Look
yeah,
into
I
it,
think
sure.
investigate all of it.
Okay. Then I think that's it for that. And then the last piece is Clean Energy New Hampshire, which is a New Hampshire nonprofit that serves municipalities and businesses and homeowners by making available information about energy efficiency, renewable energy. They have a special program specifically for municipalities. They have what they call circuit riders who work with a number of towns, and they provide coaching and support and technical expertise to municipalities who are members. We actually have benefited from that already, even though we're not members of it, and I would like to propose that we formally become a member of Clean Energy New Hampshire. The entrance fee is $250, so it's like pretty low bar. And for that, we get 2 tickets to their annual conference, which happens in November, which is geared towards municipalities, and that's worth $200. So effectively, we would be, paying an additional $50 for the membership.
Is that annual?
It's an annual.
$250 annual?
It's an annual fee, and my intent is to put a budget item for the Energy Committee, and so next year it would be in our Energy Committee budget.
Which is in our bigger budget.
Yeah. So, but right now, what I'm proposing is let's join now so that 1 or 2 people from the select board or the town administrator can go to the energy conference. If none of the select board want to go, then one of the Energy Committee people would love to also go. I'm gonna go because I already bought my ticket. So that's my request, $250 to become a municipal member of Clean Energy New Hampshire.
I think we can find a place in some budget to put it.
Education?
Well, we,
In our,
members are not-
I think, well, maybe in yours, either in yours or mine, I think we can find a place for the 250. Probably mine, the TA budget. So,
I make a motion that the town of Tamworth join Clean Energy New Hampshire.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do you want to put the monetary value for
At the current rate of $250 annually.
join the, let's see, CENH.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Do you say yes?
Bear, yes.
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Great.
Awesome,
you.
thank you for coming.
The only last thing I want to add is about the insulating one's home. When we bought our home and insulated it, it was what, $3,000 maybe? Did all parts of the house. It was surprising how little it cost. Our heating bill was cut in half the first winter, and we paid it off in like 2 years. So for a big old drafty house, the buyback period is very short.
Zach is gonna have to leave in a second, he's supposed to share his budget, so I'm just
Okay.
letting everybody know.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in tonight. We will move on to We're gonna skip to budgeting for,
Emergency
Okay, and
management.
we'll just do the
Yeah.
that portion.
well, yeah,
Emergency management.
we'll skip to the emergency management portion of the budget.
Which is.
Alright, so real quick, the only increase that I did with my
Wait one
budget,
second, we gotta find the page. Can we switch the page numbers to the right-hand side of the page? Cause it's under the staple right now.
No.
Oh.
Or do we move the staple?
Or move the staple.
Sure, sorry about that.
That's okay. It's like you wouldn't think of it until you think of it.
It's on page 8, which you can't see, but it's right above police.
Oh, I see 8.
Oh, no,
That
it's
one
not.
doesn't affect it.
No, it's not. I'm sorry,
No.
that's grants and emergency response.
Okay.
It is on page 9, 10, it's on page 10, right above highway. I'll make
There
it.
we go. Okay, we gotcha.
alright, so one of the increases, this coming year was the salary. I took on the emergency management position for Mercer Court. I've started becoming very proactive with this new role that I have. One of the things I have noticed though in the last month and a half, there's been a lot more projects thrown at me than I want at the same time. One of the projects I'm trying to deal with is updating the town shelter plan with the school. That's been a headache. The town's generator, I just found out as of today, is having issues again, acting up again. So Rick has the generator people coming out to work on that. The other thing is the generator here that was applied through a grant, or I don't know if we bought it, is actually too small now considering the addition that we're gonna do over there. The highway department needs a generator. I'm working on the hazardous mitigation plan update, which is taking almost at least one of my Mondays out where I'm sitting on the phone 2 hours. I'm on the phone with the state trying to get as much money for the town, but there's a lot of projects going on that's taking up a lot of my free time. I also work at the firehouse 48 hours a week, sometimes overtime. And it's just becoming a lot where I'm doing multiple things, whether it's the fire department here, emergency management, or I'm in Conline. So it's just a lot to try to do, and I'm trying to help the town out as much as I can.
Good reason to increase your salary.
Yeah, if you're willing to do the work. If it's not burning you out, then
I'll do it as long as I can, so.
What's the change in the expenses? Like
So
what kinds
these-
of things do you have expenses for?
Right now, I don't have anything. The only thing is, like, if we actually have issues where there's storm-related expenses, if we have to open the shelter or something like that, there could be
Oh, okay.
expenses there. Given everything that's happened this year with all the floods, and I don't know what winter's gonna bring, stuff is more expensive than it used to be. So
Okay.
who knows? I mean, we can leave it there. I probably won't spend it. If I do spend it, then the money's there if we need it, so.
Okay.
Alright.
Pretty straightforward.
yeah. Too bad about that generator at the school.
Yeah, I
God.
right now, so it's supposed to do like an automatic start. Rick noticed it didn't do it. Like you can take a screwdriver, he says, to manually engage it, but he
Oh my
says
gosh.
that really isn't the best answer, and this generator alone is.
So is it just the starter?
Yeah, he's got their
If
coming
he's using a
tomorrow.
screwdriver to start it, that means he's probably jumping off the solenoid.
I don't know.
That's
I
not
just,
assuming.
yeah, I don't know. This thing, this
They're
generator
coming
alone
tomorrow,
is
so.
given a lot of headaches, and to replace this is $140,000, $150,000 generator.
Oh, wait,
I mean, it's not that bad to jump it with a screwdriver.
Yeah.
For
they're fixing it
150,000, I'll go down
They're
and
fixing it.
Okay.
screwdriver.
Also, just to clarify one point, that the nurses are not gonna be
On this
using this generator.
Okay,
If they
alright.
need one, they'll get one on their
Perfect.
dime.
That makes it a little easier. 'cause
Yes.
Okay,
The
good.
generator we have here will not work.
No, then they know
If you-
that.
Okay. Awesome.
Great, thanks for hanging out, Zach,
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and for everything that you've been doing.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
so
Yeah. Okay. Where were we?
Let me get to the good stuff.
What are we doing now?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Oh yeah,
Moving
what?
on to,
Can you guys go, can Sharon and Rich go first? Cause
okay.
I feel bad having you sit here.
Oh, that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Well, we'll move on to Main Street Halloween with the Outing Club with Sharon Morrison.
Hi, I'm Sharon Morrison, and I'm here on behalf of the Tamworth Outing Club. I think everybody knows that over the last several years, we've helped organize Halloween in the village, so creating an opportunity, safe opportunity for kids, anybody in town to do trick-or-treating in kind of, I think, a more traditional way. And this year, we'd like to improve the event. We've been working with Chief Littlefield, with K.A. Brett PTA, with Emily, to bring all of the activities that happen on the 31st to the village. And we'd like to close Main Street from 113A to Great Hill Road to just keep it a little bit more safe. Our schedule of events for the 31st, we'd be setting out the jack-o'-lanterns from 4 to 5. Getting trunk or treat set up. We'd like to use this parking lot for a trunk or treat for the K.A. Brett school.
Did you look back there, by the way, just to see it? It's smaller.
Yeah. It's a bit of a puzzle. And have trick or treating from 5:30 to 7:30. We'll also have our terror barn at the Farnham residence from 6 to 8, so that'll be fun. And we'll start cleaning up the road at 7:30, making sure everything's just the way we found it by 8:30 on the 31st. And we're hoping to close the road from 5 to 8.
The road will be closed from when to when?
5 to 8 p.m. And we've notified all the businesses and the residents in the village who'd be impacted and or would have a trick or treat station at their
Dana
house.
was definitely
Dana's in
he was
favor
in
of it,
favor of
yeah.
that, yeah, for sure.
Sounds great, thanks for pulling all that fun together.
There was a little bit of a question over which parking lot used for trunk or treat.
Mm-hmm.
We decided on this one.
We did, Chief Littlefield, and I agree that there's more parking capacity at that end of the village between the town lot and then the lot across from Remick Farm.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we know this one's a lot smaller, but it's a trade-off,
Yeah.
right? Because we're worried about parking also.
So you have people come into town from Hollow Hill around and then park over there?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Who has the authority to close streets? Is that you all or the police chief? Do you need to make a motion?
He mentioned it at an earlier meeting, but
Yeah.
I don't know whether
He
that's.
sent me here to get permission.
I think that we can make the motion knowing, he's definitely in favor of it. He thinks
Oh,
that
yeah.
this is, and he's gonna have, somebody on patrol for it.
Yes, yeah, he's committed to that.
I make a motion that we approve closing of Main Street on Halloween from 5 to 8 p.m.
Second.
For
You
Period.
paused.
I'm trying to breathe.
No breathing. You don't like the air in here anyway.
Period.
Any discussion?
What day of the week is Halloween?
Tuesday.
Okay. There'll need to be notices going out all over town for a couple days before that.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be advertising the event generally on the exchange and in other, I think we're gonna get it in the town newsletter, and anything we put out talking about the event will include the road closure.
And we
Yeah.
put it on the website too.
The post office bulletin board is like
Yep. Mhm.
great place. So many people check that out. It's amazing.
Did we do the roll call vote?
No,
No.
I was still waiting on discussion. Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Awesome.
Thank you.
So.
It's a beautiful event.
Yeah. Super fun, thank you.
Move to.
Moving on to our rec director with the Halloween events.
Yeah. So I met with the PTA as well, trying to have ideas on how to keep especially the middle school kids, engaged and out of trouble on Halloween. So we're doing a dance on the 27th, which is the Friday before. The 8th grade teacher approached me for ways that the 8th grade class could do a fundraiser for their trip. And so I didn't know this, but back when the Brett School did all their Halloween events, that's where Trunk or Treat was, and the 8th grade used to be in charge of doing a haunted classroom, and they would accept donations, and it was a fundraiser. So I had suggested approaching the townhouse and using that as like an 8th grade fundraiser. I didn't know if doing a haunted house for them was, if the outing club was, if that was in competition with what the outing club did, or if it's like the more the merrier,
Well,
because
competition is good for business. Yeah. I mean,
So the downside was their friends weren't thrilled about the idea because of the tape and tacks and the idea of kind of too much of a mess in the renovated building. So I was disappointed with that, but I also understand. Why I was originally on the agenda was I was thinking maybe we could do like a haunted walkthrough in the town office if we locked the offices and kind of went through and popped out in the trunk or treat area, but I realized today that Halloween's on a Tuesday and this office is open, so I don't think that's really,
I don't know, that'd be kind of fun.
we could have a bunch of 8th graders in here decorating. So still kind of exploring that.
Is there any reason if that's something we want to do, I think the townhouse would probably be the place to do it. I mean, with that, if there's already stuff going on in town, it makes sense to keep it here.
I guess the other option would possibly talk to Katie about her barn, next to the other store.
oh yeah.
So I'll talk with the 8th grade class again. I love the idea of the townhouse, but I also, it is a bigger space, and I don't know, with it being their first year doing it, it might be too big to.
I know when they used to do it at the school, I mean, they decorated a lot of rooms.
Yeah.
We did, I mean, when I was in 7th and 8th graders did it. 7th grade did like one wing of the school and 8th graders did the other. And I mean, it was like 2 or 3 kids would do a room. So there was like a whole bunch. So I mean, I don't think I don't know how much help or support they I know we had like a lot of teachers were involved with it and stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, if not this year, maybe it's something we could explore for next year. I think it's a great idea, and I think as long as we reassured the friends of the townhouse that, I talked with Rick about it too, like if he and I are kind of promised that everything gets cleaned up and patched up and put back to normal, it'd be a great way to use the space for.
Yeah.
This is becoming a really fun village event, so it'd be great to add to it.
I don't know what it looks like when you open the door on that barn of Katie's.
It could be spooky.
Well, not the barn behind, but the one that the barnstorm is used.
That one.
That one,
That
yeah.
one's pretty open.
Yeah, it's got a door in
Yeah.
the front, you can go out to the
Yeah,
side
It's
door.
kind of a nice size,
I
too.
think that would be a good option.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll
It's
explore
spooky.
different options.
Spooky, alrighty.
Yeah. So actually, while we're kind of on the topic of community happenings, so I let you guys know a while ago that I was exploring an app for Tamworth Rec that people could download and just
To
kind of
register for programs.
to see like what is being offered, and I would like to show you on the screen just as a little, because we're almost, if you guys like it and we're ready to go, I just need approval to, it's in the signature file, basically it
Get out of the way.
allows me.
I need to go, actually,
Basically, I would need approval from you guys to get the app live on the App Store. From Apple would need your approval. So, is your email still on
No, you
here?
could, yeah, it should be.
Oh yeah, I have it right here. Can you see that? So it's super basic. I mean, it's basically, this is a spot to subscribe to the town newsletter that I do. This is the recreation tab, which tells you what's coming up. And then town events. This would kind of be, kind of like what happens with the newsletter now is I'll have anybody send me a request, something to add to the newsletter. So it could be the same thing, like, I don't know, an event's coming up and we add it.
And then you don't sign up through it, you go to the website.
You do, so,
or,
so moving for longevity, you would click on it. It gives you a little more info. This is like the poster.
Great.
And then where it says sign up here, it just redirects. It redirects you to the form where you sign up, which is just a Google form. But
So it's not our website, it's
not our website.
Love it.
So if you guys are good with this, then there is something in the signature file for you to sign that basically gives me permission to add this app to the App Store, where
Somebody like
it's
to
a
make
free
a motion.
download.
Is there any adding it to the Google Play Store for Android phones as well?
Yeah, it would be both.
Cool.
An option.
I make a motion that we authorize Emily to add the Tamworth Rec app to, what's the Android one phone? Google Play?
Yeah, the Apple Store and Google
Apple Store and Google
Play.
Play.
Second.
I'm not typing this in to make sure I get it right tomorrow.
Is there any discussion?
Good.
Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Thank
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alright, where are we?
You
Moving
wanna
on.
do Emily out of order budget too and do the intro last? each?
No, I'm here. No, I'm here. You go. I'm here till the
I'm
end
just-
anyway.
Moving
There's
on
a different reason, but I'm not gonna say anything.
moving on to budgeting.
Are we going into budgeting?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think we are.
General budget.
Okay.
Oh, she's gonna put a screen up there too. You gotta move again.
Let's see, Emily, where's my?
You're the one right in the middle.
Your email?
I'm the one right. in the-
Oh, no, this-
No, I'm looking for, my Excel.
Oh, I did.
Maybe I had opened it, oh, there it
There
is, okay. I'm gonna just start by saying, talking about the CIP, indexes. I gave you guys a handout, it looks like this, and it lists, 4 different indexes. These indexes are, published, what's it called, the American Municipal something or other. Anyway, they publish the Municipal Cost Index, and the Municipal Cost Index is incorporates the construction cost index, consumer price index, and the production price index. I was told about it by the New Hampshire Municipal Association at a financial class I attended, and so that's when I looked this up. So basically, what you can see on this sheet is that there's a big variation between the different indexes, and also that inflation has come down a lot since the beginning of the year. It may be that it's gonna come down more, as this is only through August, this data. And obviously, our budget doesn't solidify for many months, so we can adjust as we need to. But, what the municipal cost index does is pull together the 3 other indexes. So theoretically, it is the best reflection of the inflation we are currently facing. I don't know if that means it's the best inflation factor for salaries, and that's a decision you guys need to make. People probably experience the consumer price index is more as what we people as consumers might experience. So I don't know what the answer is, but this is the range.
Yeah.
And the 1.32 is considered sort of a basket of all of these put together. And the reason it's so low is that the producer price index, which reflects commodities, is actually negative. It's gone way down. So we don't have to decide right now what the inflation factor should be for salaries, but we're gonna have to. And that's just sort of a preamble to where we are with the budget overall. So that's that. Health insurance is up 15.6%. That's a lot. What else do I want to tell you? The library budget is not in. It's possible it will stay even. I just, as a placeholder, had put in a 3% inflation factor, but it sounds like maybe that will come down a little. Okay, so let me take you through the numbers a little bit. I don't want to get rid of this stupid rail thing. Let me move this down. I thought I can hide that. Okay. Oh, that's my email. I just hid my budget. How do I make this big? Emily, do you know how I make this big?
Click on the
Cross
Hit
over
open
the-
in Excel, the blue button in the middle, that'll
Oh,
actually launch Excel.
Thank you. Ugh. I hate this thing. There we go. Okay. And I wonder if I can shrink the view a little bit.
Yeah, on the bottom right hand corner where it says 100%, you can hit the minus button.
Good thing we got the computer guy in here.
I know, thank
That's-
God.
That's him, that's.
Except that it's not responding.
Not responding.
I mean, if you edit the
Theoretically, I
actual
could-
cell, not the web browser, it'd be
And
amazing.
now we're lost.
Okay. All right, I'm just gonna scroll through them. I can do it this way.
No, it should be the whole page, just the web browser.
So, okay, so here we are, let me move this up. Okay. 2021 actuals, 2022, you see a big jump. 2021, obviously, COVID, all kinds of impacts that made the budget, in a sense, artificially low. 2022 budget, these are actuals. The actual budget was 5.212 million. And then you get to our 2023 budget. One thing I will say about this 2023 budget is there was a $352,000 grant for the breathing apparatus for the fire department, which is then a wash because it's grant funded. So when you go over here to what we're looking at for 2024, and you see a 0% change in expenses, it's a little bit deceptive because that grant isn't in there. And we still have, we've reached that number without that kind of wash. So this really, if you were to reduce 2023's budget, it's looking like a 7% increase. Now, I will say, this is the wish list, this is everybody's, what everybody wants, and we haven't tried to look at cutting it. So that's not a terrible starting place, but it needs work. So just giving you the lay of the land. So then you get to the monies that offset, you have all kinds of monies that offset the budget. You have non-tax revenues like, motor vehicle and all the stuff, all the money that Kim brings in. That's not in this spreadsheet right here, it's at the top. That's generally for 2024 about 1.6 million as a conservative estimate. But then there's these other monies that offset 2023, and I'll just walk you through that real quick. For example, we had 107,000 in state grant revenues for bridges and roads. We will not have that this year. We will have donations to the library and sewer fees. So you see those here. For the articulating loader, we fixed Scott Bridge, Richard fixed Scott Bridge, and there was 173,000 left over from that project, from what the town approved to spend on that. Obviously, that money then goes into the unassigned fund balance, and it could be used for any purpose. Somehow psychologically at least Richard and I, when we're having the discussion, it made sense to use it for highway. The articulating loader is a big expense. In the same way that the Scott Bridge funds were went into the unassigned fund balance and then came out specifically the exact amount to fund something, this too can be that thought process. And that's 173,000. But again, that money can be used for anything. We do not have to refill, at least not at the moment, any of the unexpended fund balances, trusts that we established last year. So far, none of that contingency money has been used. As you recall, prior to this year, there would be 200,000 voted every year, and if it didn't get used, it went into the unexpended fund balance. Now that it's in an expendable trust, we don't have to raise it again unless we use pieces of it, and we thankfully haven't used any pieces of it. So it will be there for the future, and it won't grow the unexpended fund balance anymore in this next year, which is okay. And then you've got your, contingency funds. So when you get down here, what you see is in 2023, we had sort of additional funds that subsidized that 5.427 million at the tune of 729,000. Right now, we've only got 363,000, so that's 50% less. And so what that does is you get down to anticipated needs from taxation, and this is a big number that none of us would want to impose on ourselves as a tax burden. And so the way you get that number down is you take down the budget, maybe you look for grant funding for some things, maybe you look for unanticipated fund balance as a resource, and you try and get that number ideally down to zero, that delta, the 440. And so I think it's a combination of cutting the budget and trying to, understand where other revenues can come from. Okay, so park that for a second, and I'm just gonna look at the unassigned fund balance with a little history. And these are all audited numbers from our audited report in 2023. It's a draft audit, but we've reviewed it. You all have it in your inboxes, and we'll be probably finalizing it next week. Anyway, in 2021, we had basically $2 million in our unassigned fund balance. The board voted to use $264,000, and then the fund balance grew by $794,000. That was the overage from that year's budget, and may have had some positive revenues, I don't know, but basically there was a positive $794,000. So the end of 2021, we were at $2.537 million. Then you go over to 2022, and that's where you start. You'll all recall we voted to have a tax impact of $700,000 from the unassigned fund balance, and $250,000 was used for the expendable trusts and the transfer station, and I think a fire truck. Ended up being $250,000. So there was a lot of money used from the unassigned fund balance, but we knew when you made that vote that there was also a large surplus that would be coming in again. And that surplus, I know $160,000 was from revenues, and the remainder, about $700,000 was excess. It was a surplus.
So we should be able to put in a large amount again, theoretically.
Well, let's keep going. Let me just finish. So you get down here, and you end up with a $2.483 million surplus unassigned fund balance, which is a solid number. So now we go over to 2023. What I did is I took these numbers. This is 2021. The unassigned fund balance was 26%. The recommended amount is 5 to 17%. So obviously that's a very large. It's a good problem to have. It means we don't ever have to borrow money. We've got a good cash flow as a result. But probably it's higher than it should be, given that the recommendation is a significantly smaller number. It came down to 23%, and what I did is I sort of wired this number so you can play with it. If you decided 20% for this coming year was where it felt right to have the unassigned fund balance, then you would have approximately $205,000 of your fund balance available. And again, there's lots of numbers that are going to change, so none of this is written in stone. It's just kind of a 101 in the elements that you're going to be thinking about over the next 2 months. So you can change this number. So this could become 0.15. I mean, I'm not suggesting it, I'm just making a point. And suddenly this number goes up to $824,000, right? So there's play in this number. I don't have final school tax effort numbers or county assessment numbers, so again, there's a little play in here. But let's say you wanted to go to 19%. That gives you a little more room at $329,000. One discussion you can have is, obviously keeping an unassigned fund balance at a healthy level is a great thing. you could decide to take it down 1% from now until it gets down to 17 and then keep it at 17. Most towns do not go over 17 as far as I understand. That ours is so high is, you know, the pandemic threw all finances out of whack and we ended up with a good problem of having a lot of extra money. But it's maybe better to tighten it in a little bit. So that's my little number speech. I don't think I have anything else to add other than, you know, as we go through, each department head will be sharing their budgets and you know, every single one of them, and I'm sure you know it from hiring people, is facing real pressure in salaries. And it just has a big impact on our numbers. So, now I think it's you. Okay, let me go back to this. How do I get this up again? I go here.
Rec is on page.
How do I make this big again?
I think that would be
Yeah,
an arrow.
yeah, bottom right corner of that window.
Yeah, oh. I said, yeah, it doesn't work that way.
So I am presenting the budget for Parks and Recreation, which I would argue should just be called Recreation. I don't have much to do with parks. The swim program and patriotic purposes, which all kind of fall under me.
Nope,
I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you.
Patriotic purposes mean 4th of July only.
And Memorial Day and
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day,
Page 12.
flags, buying flags falls under that.
But cemeteries did flags.
Well, we have it here too. I don't know.
Well, if we have that in the rec budget, then we don't need a separate Veterans Committee budget. So let's talk about that later.
Yeah, there's not much.
Page 12, yep, okay.
Yeah, 12.
So as you know, I came in halfway through this year. So it was kind of interesting for me to work with my budget, which was a little bit all over the place. I think with how we named things, it was kind of confusing. There was trips and then summer trips and then buses and then summer buses, and it was just kind of all over the place. So you'll notice I went way over in some lines and way under in others. So for 2024, I'm really trying to have some clarity. Program supplies is its own thing. I have trips for adults. Those are basically entry fees for any sort of outing that we do. And then we've got trips for children, which is mainly summer programming. And you'll see that where I went over. So I actually don't have the percentage for all three budgets combined, but the total that I am over is about $28,310. So $12,000 of that is my health insurance. The budget for 2023 was for the rec director as a single person or single and a partner, maybe.
I think single and a partner, yeah.
And I have a family, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
So, I mean, fortunately for me, unfortunately for the budget. Yeah, and health insurance is expensive. So that out of that 28,000, 12 of that is health insurance. The other 16,000 is mainly summer programming. I have a pretty good summer plan put together. We had an awesome turnout this summer for swim lessons, Friday field trips, and the 1 week of summer enrichment that we did. So I had kids on waiting lists for all things. I'd like to expand the sessions. I'd like to be able to offer it to more kids. I'd like to have more flexibility with the transportation. So that 16,000 increase is applied to that. However, I've already talked with this school board, they're really supportive with Title I funds. So to help to offset this cost. I also intend to approach the Tamworth Foundation again and ask for their continued support. Historically, they always gave grant money for the swim program. So really, after those are taken into consideration, it's not a huge increase this year. But
So you're saying that in the next round of looking at these numbers, you'll have an idea roughly what the Title I offset number would be, and you're going to check in with the Tamworth Foundation to see if they'll do their, it was like a historic 5,000
yeah,
for swim?
it was. I don't know that Title I, I'll talk more with the school. I got a verbal, commitment, but I don't know when I could have that in writing,
Yeah.
so to speak. So,
Or if they even do put it in
or if
writing.
they even can put it in writing. I know, a lot of times it doesn't happen until the last minute, so. So yeah, that's that. It was also clear that, part-time help for the summer was definitely an increase. The summer enrichment program especially, we were lucky enough to get some of the literacy teachers from the Brett School who are used to getting paid $30 an hour to help us, but it was amazing because they had a great relationship with the kids and they could totally teach our literacy portion of the day, and it was well worth it, so.
Well, and if you want to get anybody for 2 weeks, or
Yeah.
for,
Right.
you're gonna have to make it worth their while to jump into,
Right. So.
Any questions?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
And did you have a separate question about where to put patriotic, or?
well, we added last year a line item for for the Veterans Committee.
Right, that's in patriotic, yeah.
So did you, maybe you already said this, or maybe you were still on Parks and Rec, I was looking at this one program.
Oh, yeah. No, that's okay. It's all kind of one
okay.
thing. Go ahead.
Okay.
So, did you have like part-time help for the swim program? Or did,
Nope, I only had my 2 swim instructors.
oh, okay, I was just wondering why the workers' comp and that stuff was still 100%.
Under swim salaries.
This is the percent of
Of what's left, right?
the 6,000.
I was looking at the workers' comp. I was
Okay,
just wondering.
220.
You had part-time
So
help.
that $24
Yep.
is 0.004% of 6,000.
Oh, okay.
Oh, are you saying why didn't any workers' comp get spent on the part-time employees this year? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's what I was wondering.
Because there's 100% left of the workers' comp.
That's what I was curious about.
Oh, I see.
Just a
It's a
random
good question. I
Oh,
should
it may
check
have gone
in.
into, well, no, it wouldn't have.
Probably
Were they
doesn't really make any
stipended?
difference with the budgeting process.
Yeah.
I just looked at it.
Well, I mean, but it's,
No, that's a good question. I don't know why. You can ask Elaine.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right.
It would have been about $15.
Looks like- Yeah. Huh.
well, you did a great job,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Oh,
thanks.
yeah.
I
And
know
this
it would be
is-
tough to reflect off what the budget that you had.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was, still kind of figuring it out, but
This is at least
I think
based
that'll
on
take some
something real, so.
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be different this year. So I came into May and had kind of this chunk of money that wasn't used January, February, March, so it was nice to be able to do all these really cool things this summer. Well, I plan on having, year year-round programming, so I'm gonna have to be a little more structured. But I think it'll be good.
Great.
Yeah.
One of the things that we haven't talked about yet is that we have hired a assessing clerk, which you all need to make a motion about. But while Emily's here, do you want to make the motion about her becoming the full-time rec director?
Oh, we haven't done that yet.
I thought we did that contingent upon,
In non-public, I believe.
you don't have to vote twice, you can have a vote recorded in non-public.
To hire the rec director?
Didn't we
Okay.
already take that vote?
We did,
We
but
did
I
a
don't think we haven't
non-public.
made an announcement in public session.
So we can
maybe
make an
it's-
announcement,
maybe it's
just-
I'm just saying we don't have
So
to
you don't
vote
have to
again.
motion?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Emily's now our full-time rep. If everybody didn't. figure
Starting
that out.
November
Thanks.
1st, right?
I'm gonna continue to train the new assessing clerk for a little while.
Yeah,
Okay.
as of November 1st.
I mean, we should double check that we took that vote, but I'm pretty sure we
I
took the
remember
vote in
We
non-public.
did it in non-public, I just didn't, I thought you had to do it in public
No.
with the dollar
I think we
amount
have to
and
release
all
that.
that, okay,
No, cause the
okay.
minutes weren't sealed, the dollar amount should have been part of that motion.
Yeah.
So the new assessing clerk started yesterday, I think.
Yep, she started training, she's gonna be 1 day a week until, November 1st. And her name is Susan Leonard, and she had 20 years as an administrative assistant at Boston Public Schools, and then moved up here in late 2019, and has been sort of doing different sort of seasonal work, Castle in the Clouds and LLB since then, and wanted to get back into sort of more administrative work. So we have not voted on her.
Yeah, but can we just let Emily
Yeah.
leave?
Yeah,
Oh, it's okay.
no, and I didn't,
Yeah.
the reason we thought we were gonna vote, so that's why
Yeah.
I changed it, and then I got a question, so.
Yeah, so any questions on my budget?
No, it looks good. I mean, it looks realistic.
Okay, good. Happy you could hear.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming in tonight and
Yeah.
sticking around for so long.
No problem.
All right.
And I just wanna say thank you for doing 2 jobs
Oh,
for so
Right,
long.
for so long.
no
It's been a
problem.
lot,
It's,
you've
was
done it
fun.
really well.
thanks.
But not that fun.
Not that
All right. So,
So
we,
did
while
you,
we're on that topic, we want to.
yeah, do her, cause you don't have it somewhere else.
I
No.
don't. It was
Okay.
gonna be in the department head reporting stuff, and it just.
Yeah, we
I
can do
thought
that
it
now then.
The motion.
Make a motion to hire Susan Leonard as the new assessing clerk, part-time at the rate of $20 an hour, which will increase to $21 an hour after 90 days and a positive performance evaluation at that time.
How many hours a week?
24.
I think you said that.
No.
Oh, you did not. Okay.
Just not really.
Second. I got it.
Yeah.
I'll take that one. Any discussion?
When last we talked, you wanted to interview her, correct?
He
Yeah.
called and felt comfortable not doing that.
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't miss
Yeah,
something
no.
completely. Okay, that's all.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes?
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Emery. Thank you, Emily.
No problem.
Where are we? Sorry.
Value,
Assessing contract. All the way down the bottom.
Oh, okay. Where's my folder? Okay, so, there are 2 contracts that we hold with Rod Wood. One is the annual assessing contract, and one is the every 5-year cyclical. What?
Oh, was that in our prep?
Yeah,
Yep.
it was.
Okay, got it.
So the 5-year, typically Rod has done a 20% review of all the properties every year till he gets to 100%. Those are done, those are office surveys. He does go do site visits and he has staff that does site visits, but that's sort of sporadic as needed. He is suggesting we go to 10% office data surveys and increase the number of site visits because with the housing market being as sort of hot as it is and houses being renovated quite extensively, he thinks we'll get more bang for our buck, so to speak, by having people go look at the houses because lots of investment is happening in houses to get them sold. So he recommends we go to that model. And I think it seems like a reasonable position. Many of the other towns are doing it as well. And that contract is, sorry, I should have the number right here. $31,500 for 2024, and then it increases by 3% a year over a 5-year period, and it's a 5-year contract. This would be our third, I believe, 5-year contract with him. And
Has it been similar in the past?
yeah, it just basically goes up by a percentage.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that the institutional knowledge he has about the town is really important and unique. And I'll get back to that in a second. The other contract is the cyclical update. The contract itself is for $30,000, and then there's sort of two add-ons. One add-on is a $4,000 add-on, which is really, basically it's to have one-on-one meetings with our taxpayers when they get their assessment. There's two ways you can notify your residents. You can send out a notification letter that here's your new assessment, and it's separate from the second tax bill. And while it might be a nice thing to do, what happens is that people look at their first tax bill's rate and apply it to their assessment notice and think that their taxes have doubled. And so that causes lots of anxiety, and then people come in and Rod meets with them. So he has an extra charge for all those meetings. So rather than do that, which isn't our custom anyway, and not the custom of 80% of the towns around us, we simply, they get their second tax bill and the new assessment is on there and they see what the rate is. There's still confusion, but much less, because you see the bottom number is what you thought it should be. And so we don't pay that $4,000. So I see you all nodding your heads. I just want to make sure you all agree that we don't need to do some new separate system that would cause stress and anxiety. Okay, and cost money. Okay, the other piece of it is a field assessment and or field review. I'm sorry, and we did it in 2019 according to Rod, and so you don't need to do it every cycle. So we wouldn't do it until next cycle. That's a $15,000 add-on, and basically what that means is he physically visits every house. He feels that since he's been reviewing for the last he's done 20% of the houses, he can do what's called an office review. And again, that's a choice you all can discuss and make.
So
So he doesn't physically go out to 20% of the properties every year?
No, he doesn't.
And that
He-
happens in the
I-
office, yeah, no, I kind of thought it did too.
He reviews 20% of the properties. He uses market data, building notification forms, some site visits, and probably lots of other data that I don't even know about. But it is a standard operating procedure approved by the DRA. So it's not like he's
Made it up.
made it up.
Yeah, I was always under the
I
impression.
me too.
I thought
Yeah.
that too.
I always thought you were supposed to lock your gates and doors when the assessor came around. I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
Some do.
So, I'm just looking at the budget. Was the budget drafted before we got these actual numbers from him? Because the revaluation of property section
Yeah,
has 33,000 plus 4,600 plus 49,000,
yeah. So
which aren't the same numbers that are in these contract drafts.
yeah, they're ballparks, but now that
So you plug in the real ones.
and it would have been 49, but we take the 15 out,
Right.
and then we take the 4 out, and
Right.
then
So it's pretty, it's normal not to do the
Site.
the actual site
the
visits.
site visits every 5 years.
That's my understanding, and that
Okay.
is
Fine by me. I just if that's the thing to.
and we would do
normally
it. We
then-
would do it in the next cycle.
Yeah.
which would be,
$15,000 we can save
2024.
easily.
Seems like 19.
2029.
Oh, 10-year.
No, we're in, 2024 is next year, he's doing,
The
a
rebuild.
cyclical reval.
Cyclical reval.
Right, so every 5 years you do this reval, and that's 2024. And he would do it, it would be primarily office review, is what it's called. And then in 2029, when we re-up, that would be the appropriate time to have the,
But with this new program where he does 10%,
oh, that's the other contract, yeah.
yeah, he would do more site visits.
He would be doing many more site visits, and he
It
suggested
seems
that's
like
important
that-
in this particular market.
Yeah, so it seems like that would be the way to go.
And it is DRA approved
Yeah,
as a valid statistical model of how you do this.
So you need a vote to approve these two separate contracts?
Yeah. We also, these step outside of the purchasing policy, and so you can make a motion to waive the policy in this instance because it is a unique and important skill set that
Because we haven't sought bids.
we have not bid this out. If we were to bid it out, I would recommend doing it after you do the cyclical review. But
Well,
you
I agree.
obviously want the same person doing both.
yeah,
He's got 10 years, 15 years of experience in our town.
I agree, there's quite a value to keeping the same guy on the job.
I'm not, it's not like it's not like there's any crazy increase. It's not like he's
Yeah.
saying, well, now I want double because I've got 10 years of experience.
No. Yeah.
So,
Do we have any comparable rates that we know?
I did not see comparable rates, no.
No, we don't have any other legacy information on what people charged in the past.
or like
It's
what
too
surrounding
old, it wouldn't
towns.
matter.
Now, does he do any other towns?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure what towns, but yes.
Okay.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
Wakefield?
Wakefield, I think he does Freedom,
Effingham,
Effingham,
maybe?
something like that.
He has 4 or 5 towns.
Okay.
So he knows the area, which I think is, you have to know the market.
So is there a motion? I don't want to make motions.
To waive the, we're gonna do a
Purchasing
motion to
policy.
waive the, say it again.
Purchasing policy? For,
I make a motion, we waive the purchasing policy in order to continue our historical precedents with RB Wood and Associates meeting our assessing needs.
Second. Discussion. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Doucette, yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no.
was that your second?
Yes.
Okay, thank
That's it with assessing contracts?
you. Now you need to make a motion to approve the contracts.
So it's the annual assessing services and,
And the,
The 2024,
And
I got
the-
it right here, let me make the motion.
go.
I move that we accept the annual assessing services contract proposal as presented by RB Wood and Associates for the period January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2028. And that we accept the contract proposal for the 2024 cyclical update representing the period January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024 in the amount of $30,000.
Second.
There was no dollar amount noted for the.
Because it's a 5-year, that's why I said as presented, because it's got the 5 years, it increases each year,
Gotcha.
3%.
and it's embedded in the document.
Discussion? Questions? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Doucette, yes?
There, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no.
that's it.
Now moving on to the administrator report.
Okay, well, we're working on the budget. Where is my?
Yep.
The bank balance is $2,954,731. We started to train our new assessing clerk. Emily was doing a bang up job of that all day yesterday, a lot of energy. Working on the budget, getting these contracts settled, and many other things that I can't recall right at the moment, but that's pretty much the
Budget.
budget, yeah. Yeah, so I last week met with every department head and, you know, through all of it. So yeah, it's a lot of time. And I actually enjoy budgeting. So,
Yeah.
yeah. That's it.
Is Kim coming in?
Kim was gonna come in, she must have gone home.
Okay.
Oh, we should also say that it's just
Oh.
it's been a sad office this week, and just our hearts are with the Burke family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess we can put Kim on the agenda for next week. She was gonna come in at the beginning of, when she was done, so she must have gotten,
she what? Yeah, she probably it's
She
8
might
o'clock.
still be
well, no,
She
she
was
was
trapped
gonna
in
come in
there.
at 6.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Signature file, great.
Alright, moving on to the signature file. I make a motion to approve the select board meeting minutes for September 21st, 2023, as well as the select board meeting minutes for September 28th, 2023.
Second.
Roll
I was
call
waiting
vote.
for you.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes under RSA 91-A:32A, Session 1, as well as RSA 91-A:32A, Session 2, RSA 91-A:32A, Session 3, for September 21st, 2023, as well as the non-public meeting minutes for RSA under RSA 91-A:32A, Session 1, RSA 91-A:32A, Session 2, for September 28th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Were any of those minutes sealed minutes, or were those all unsealed
No.
minutes? Okay.
Assumed.
I make a motion to approve the appointment form for, do we need to make a motion to approve,
Which appointment form?
or is that?
Yes, make a motion to approve it.
I make a motion to approve the appointment form.
Actually, make a motion
Yeah,
to
that's what,
appoint.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I was, I was like, doesn't sound right. I make a motion to appoint Anna Paddock to the planning board.
Mm-hmm.
Second.
Is that,
As an alternate.
oh, as an alternate.
Mhm.
I was gonna say that, okay. Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Make a motion to approve the land use change tax in the amount of $500 for map 211, lot 52, as well as $9,500 for map 205, lot 26.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Are those the same ones?
Yeah, it is.
Wait, what?
We approved them last.
They just have to be,
They just have to be re-signed.
Yeah.
so we don't have to vote. on
Okay,
it.
so alright, so we don't have to vote on it?
No.
Okay, I rescind my motion. I make a motion to approve the driveway application permit for map 402, lot 28.
Second.
This is a new one though.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't get a lot of them, and I know we had one
Yeah.
last time, so that's why I just wanted to make sure. Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Very yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make
We
Let's
just,
do that.
we just did that one.
I make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $401,975.19.
Second.
Thank you.
with the back.
There we go. The school for $250,000. Cook Library for $43,651. Action Ambulance for $16,177. Health Trust for $14,235.72. Permapave for $15,650. NHRS for $21,088. Advanced Diesel for $8,353. Firematic for $6,820.
What's that?
Ransmirt?
I don't know.
Spellman?
Elaine wrote that down. I'm not sure exactly what that is.
Ransmirt Spellman for $5,312, but I'm not sure what that is, so I do
I'll have her put the function on it in the next note.
I don't know what that is.
Probably in the
And maybe if it's citizens' names, like happened last time,
Yeah.
we don't, I mean, maybe that's a name, I don't know, that we just say the function and leave the names off it.
Oh,
I
okay.
think that's a company.
It's
Is it?
attorneys,
That's an
Attorney?
attorney?
Who's it?
commercial litigation attorney.
Insurance?
Ransomere and Spellman.
Commercial.
They're lawyers,
Commercial
Litigation insurance?
litigation.
attorney.
That doesn't.
We should check that one.
I will.
I'm gonna check that one out
Yeah,
for
it's
you.
a law firm in Concord.
Is that to
Oh,
do
I know what
with
it
the
is.
perambulation?
Yes, it's the perambulation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blech.
It's lawyers to do with the preambulation line for $5,312.
Boundary dispute.
Thank you.
You have one more thing and then I'm gonna
Cash used.
share something.
Oh, payroll.
I make a motion to approve the payroll in the amount of $40,138.85.
Second.
Roll call vote. Did we didn't vote on.
Didn't do the.
I rescind my motion. Roll call vote on the accounts payable.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
Good catch.
I make a motion to approve the payroll in the amount of $40,138.85.
Is that hard?
It has
I
the fire volunteer, well, they're not volunteers, the fire staff. in
The
it.
fire staff's
Once a
on
month.
it, which is once a month.
So it's high. I mean,
Yes, it is higher than normal. Because
Usually around 32 or something.
Thank you.
yeah, it's usually yep.
Somebody
Discussion.
second?
Yeah, I did.
Discussion. Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I don't make a motion.
Report on.
Cash used to date is $8,956,335.92.
So,
Yep.
may I? So, in the absence of Kim, I do have a letter that she gave us. She was going to read this, but I'm not sure what happened. So, with your permission, will read this recommendation from her.
Yep.
I'm recommending for the deputy town clerk collector position, Hillary Mangan, who is a resident of Tamworth, New Hampshire. I'd like to recommend a starting rate of $18 an hour with her employment commencing on Tuesday, September 26th, and/or upon approval of the required employment screenings, whichever may fall earlier. I will be starting with approximately 65 hours a month for the initial probation period of 6 months, while Hillary is training for the position, which also involves state of New Hampshire training for motor vehicles, elections, and vital records. I feel that Hillary will be a good fit for the town clerk's office. I believe she will be an asset to our welcoming customer service environment. Thank you for your support in this recommendation. And Kim and I discussed that you all could motion to make that hire. She's an elected official, so she technically can hire, I believe, independent, but you might as well make the motion.
I make a motion to hire Hillary Mangan at the amount for the town deputy town clerk tax collector position at the amount of $18 per hour beginning on September 26th, 2023. At approximately 65 hours per month for the initial probation period of 6 months.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice abstain.
Roberts, yes. 4 yes with 1 abstention. Can I move on to select board update with Richard?
The Phil Bennett, the architect working on the townhouse fire escape, will be here at the next meeting. I've asked him to put together a cost estimate based on the design that he has. I know there was a brief discussion here while I was away on the design. So he'll be here. You should maybe take a look at the design if you have any questions. You can send it to me or to Keats. We both have his email address. So that we can try to wrap that up at our next meeting. I participated in the...
Can I just ask a quick
Yep.
question? Did we come to some suggested resolution about the snow shed in that, we had that long conversation about it, or did we just talk about it?
I don't think Richard was.
resolution.
No, Richard wasn't here, I
Right,
just
but I
didn't
read
know
the
it.
minutes and there was no resolution.
Okay,
So it's still one of the basic decisions is, do you match the roof and the snow slides off, or do you match the roof so it's metal and put the little snow thingy, whatever they call those things to catch the snow, or do you make it asphalt so the snow will stick there?
yeah.
I think it's fine no matter which way you go. I think the asphalt shingles, it'll stop the snow, but then it promotes ice dams, and the whole roof will last a lot less. It'll shorten the lifespan. I think it's just stick with metal, and if it becomes a problem, you put the little things up. That'd be put out too. But the current design is on the town website if anybody wants to look at it. And the current design is a little wider of a staircase than is there now.
That was the other thing too, about, we were gonna get it checked to make sure a litter could go
Yep,
around
it
that
can.
corner.
It can.
Okay,
You'd have to tilt it a little bit, but it'll go.
okay.
You can do a full carry-out width, so you'd have to make it wider.
Mhm.
So you could go wider. But if you go wider, now the roof gets closer to the
Right.
other building. But the current design is wider than the existing, so it's better. Last week, there was a joint meeting hosted by the Chicora Lake Conservancy and the Energy Committee at the library about the Tamworth Energy Future. It was very interesting. There were about 20, 25 people there. And I'm sure the Energy Committee will come forward with some recommendations based on that at some point in the future. Earlier this week, I think it was this week, had 2 conversations about the recycling center, improvements to the transfer station. One with the Transfer Station Improvement Committee and the other meeting with Willie and myself and the folks from Sanborn Head doing the transfer station design work. As we mentioned before, we did not get the 2 grants we were looking for, so we're perhaps $1 million short to build a new recycling facility. Various members of the Transfer Station Improvement Committee are looking at various options to, are there additional grants that we haven't found before? And Sanborn Head is going to relook at their cost estimate to see if there's any room to cut. If you can find some additional money and make some cuts, then maybe we could build a new facility from scratch. But I think, personally, I think that's unlikely. I think we're probably faced with improving what we have and not building brand new from scratch. But we'll find out in the next couple of weeks. We're meeting again with Sanborn Head and the Transfer Station Improvement Committee. I think next week is Sanborn Head, and then the week after is the TC, I think. Maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, we'll be back here in a couple of weeks with a semi-final recommendation. We had the meeting last Thursday with Forest Service came and presented the Sandwich Vegetation Management project that has generated a lot of interest. my impression is that if some of the people who have some concerns about it had been in the room and heard what the Forest Service would have said, it may have alleviated some of their concerns. That's just my opinion. Because when you read the documentation the Forest Service put together, or listen to other people's thoughts about it, it sounds like a much bigger project and than I think it is. And I've been surprised how much negative energy, honestly, there is around the proposed tree cutting. The Forest Service job is to cut trees, so I expect them to cut trees. I'm not surprised by it. But I think when they put forth a project that says it'll be happening in 5 to 10 years, it sounds like a really big deal. And because it's so far out in the future, and they have to let contracts that haven't been bid out yet, they can't answer questions about exactly what's happening when. Particularly, what part of which parking lot that we use to go hiking is going to be closed when and for how long. Stuff like that that's really nuts and bolts. And who's going to be doing which project when. All that stuff happens next year or the year after. I did swap emails today with the district ranger and asked if they could commit, they being the Forest Service, could commit to sending to us once or twice a year an update on what's happening that year with those specifics, so that if this project is approved, the Forest Service would let us know, okay, this year we're going to be doing this part of the project, and that part of the parking lot will be closed, for this time period, etc. And so the district ranger has agreed to that. And I think that, I would hope, would help alleviate some people's concerns that there's massive tree clearing happening over a 10-year period from the Ferncroft parking lot, which is not the case. So I think that might help a little bit, but it's the nature of how the Forest Service does what they do, that you do an environmental analysis years before the work really gets done. You don't really know exactly the details, so it makes people uncomfortable, and I understand that. So I hope that'll help a little bit. So that's all I got.
And I'm glad you're staying in touch with the district ranger, but as I mentioned before, none of this is happening in Tamworth.
Yeah.
So.
That's true, it's right over the border.
Yeah. I didn't go to any meetings. I did talk to the fellow from Eversource, but I already mentioned that earlier in the meeting. So I'm going to continue working on getting that meter socket moved so Rick can get the plastic bag off the one we have.
Oh boy.
That's it.
Okay. I'll also note on that meeting with the Rangers, incredibly articulate and intelligent individuals, did a wonderful job on briefing everybody. So yeah, I highly recommend if anyone has concerns about it, to talk to those folks, because they know their stuff. I spent some time with Glenn at the transfer station this week. Happened to be right when the loader blew up, literally. Lost one of the hydraulic pistons running the backhoe. So if you were at the transfer station on Saturday and saw the backhoe stuck in the C&D container, that's why. Thankfully, Glenn and Alan were able to get some help hauling it out of there, and it's no longer blocking the container, but the loader part is down, so we needed to look at options for repairing it, which Glenn's getting some quotes to do now, as well as can we possibly use the road agent's loader that's sitting over there. I did drive by the pit and verify that it does have a backhoe on it, so it could be used possibly. Just have to connect with Richard, which I'm hoping to do soon. And since we're breaking things, apparently one of the compactor containers got broken as well. That's out of commission while it's getting welded up, but it'll be done this week, and that should not affect the transfer station's production or operation.
Does he have room in the budget for all the repairs?
You think so?
Okay.
Yeah. Seeing what parts we happen to have on hand to be able to repair it the most cost-effective possible. And that's it.
Do we know who does the regular maintenance on the equipment at the transfer station? Like the greasing and the,
I believe Glenn does.
does he?
They have all
Glenn or
Alan
one of the guys. Yeah, I mean that's all
Yeah.
pretty standard stuff as far as like oil changes and all that. Not that they have much equipment to change oil on and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I would assume that might be.
I'm not sure who does the oil changes or any of that,
Yeah.
more mechanical maintenance, but the regular
Yeah.
greasing and checkup work
Yeah.
is
Okay.
Glenn and Alan are on.
Yep.
That's
So,
it for me.
you all done? A week ago Monday, I went to the Lakes Region Planning Commission Commissioners Meeting, which was held in Tilton. And the big focus was regional housing needs. The LRPC has been working for a couple of years now and has finally come up with a draft of the regional housing needs assessment. And each different planning commission in the state is coming up with their own. And it's like 138 pages that is really quite interesting. It's got a ton of data about who lives in the region. It's got economic data, social data, it's got housing availability data, what kind of housing, what kind of jobs people have, and can they afford the housing, can they afford to rent a house, can they afford to build a house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The bottom line is, like, I think it might be the state's available housing is at something like 0.3%, and a healthy number would be 7%. So, I mean, we all know that there's a housing crisis, but that's an interesting way to look at it. So, what LRPC would like, and we need to do at our next commissioners meeting, is they're going to take a vote from all the commissioners asking whether we support this needs assessment as presented. And I've already talked to the planning board about it. The planning board actually has a work session scheduled on the 12th, which is next Wednesday, I think, just to look at this, talk about it, see if there are any concerns that I'll need to bring back to LRPC to have answered before we vote in the affirmative. It's there's nothing shocking in it. It's nice to have the data to support whether it's grant projects or whatever else we need to do. But they do recommend that the select board also weigh in on it. So I know 138 pages is a lot. It's a lot of tables and charts. Pretty easy to skim. I will email it out tomorrow so that you have a copy of it. And maybe it can be on next week's agenda. The next LRPC meeting is, I guess it's the 23rd, so we could put it on next week. We could put it on the 19th, the agenda for the 19th, and that would give you 2 weeks to just skim through
So
it.
not next week, but two.
Yeah,
two
put it on the
Thursdays.
19th, and then I'll still get and you'll go, Richard, too. So we'll have the feedback, just to support us so that we're voting actually the way that our townspeople want us to vote, as represented by you. So that's great, that was interesting, complicated, really not many solutions. And one thing that comes up in the needs assessment is the fact that the developers there are a lot of developers working in the southern part of the state, and not many in the top 2/3 of the state. So if you're trying to get any kind of affordable housing, workforce housing, any kind of housing built in your region, the top 2/3 of the state is struggling to find anybody who will do those projects. And two of the biggest inhibitors, town water, town sewer. And all of these little rural communities don't have that basic infrastructure, and the developers, it's too much of a financial hit when you have to build on scale. Anyway, interesting. The other thing that we did today was I took the feedback from our 2 work sessions, and from Elaine, the finance administrator, and from Keats, as well as from Linda Eldridge, the other personnel committee member. Made a clean draft with all of those, sent it out to you, sent it out to legal today. So hopefully in the next week or two, our attorney's gonna be able to review that, bring it back to us with any updates or tweaks. We'll tweak it and we'll have one more conversation so that we can decide which, if all changes we wanna make to the policy. And that still gives us time that if we do make changes that need to be part of the budget, we can add. So, that was it.
Not a lot for me. I went to the meeting last Thursday night where the Forest Service came in and spoke with us, and I thought that was really informative. I feel like part of the reason that their process is 8 to 10 years long is because they expect this portion of it to happen when they have to explain to people exactly why and what they're doing, and that takes a while to get ironed out. But other than that, that's pretty much it for me. I've been talking to Richard Roberts regularly, and he's kind of starting to get prepared for winter, which is right around the corner. So, yeah, anyway, other than that, pretty much it for me.
I have one other thing.
Yep.
I thought I mentioned I won't be here for the next 2 select board meetings.
And we're having meetings every week this
Or
yeah.
Nice timing.
You're gonna have to fix the budget by yourselves.
You're not zooming in from France?
Yeah.
Alright,
Non-public.
public
Public input.
input. Is there any public input?
There was nobody on Zoom tonight?
No.
Such an interesting meeting too.
Hearing no public input, do we have a non-public?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Under E.
I make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:32E and at 8:40 p.m.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Friends, yes.
Roberts, yes. We're now in non-public. Thank you.
Specifically for your truck.
Are the minutes sealed?
If it's any full
No.
suspense.
Are they?
We didn't talk about that.
Should I leave?
Okay, we gotta make a motion, Emery.
I make a motion to come out of non-public at
8:51.
8:51 p.m. Minutes are not sealed.
That's single signature.
Did you say yes?
Sorry.
Fair
Oh, was there a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Minutes not sealed, motion seconded by Schaefer, Keats. Okay, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no. We're now out of non-public at 8:51
We should
p.m.
get like our name and signature stamps.
Motion to adjourn.
For it.
Motion to adjourn.
Your Christmas present.
Yeah, see you Thursday next week.
Sorry, I can't talk and
I can't